The lance is a weapon about poking. But what you didn't know is that it's actually Capcom's most popular rhythm game. Now shut up, it's time to learn how to Lance Revolution. The lance is a weapon designed around high damage uptime, and your damage dealing method is through a variety of poking, and poking, and poking, and whoa, wait a minute, slapping, where the hell did that come from? The core lance gameplay is broken down into 4 categories: poking, blocking, charge slapping, and hopping. And back again to demonstrate each of these core concepts is my trusty noob, who is definitely not me, Billy. Hello! Billy, what are you wearing? I'm a cowboy. Yes, I can see that, Billy, but why are you a cowboy? Well, it's Halloween and you gotta get dressed up. Isn't that why you're always dressed up as a morbidly obese Iron Man? I'm off? Good thing we already got all of Billy's footage. First, let's cover the basics, and where's a better place to start than with some poking? When you press these buttons independently, you're going to get one of 2 different forms of pokes. This button will give you the mid-thrust, which is executed from what I like to call the missionary position. Why is it called the missionary position, you ask? Good question. Because just like missionaries, you'll be invading some unsuspecting creature's territory to cause a bunch of additional problems under the direction of some guy who couldn't even dodge getting stabbed by a spear. Oof. Pressing this button will execute the high thrust, which is executed from what I like to call the cowgirl position. Why is it called the cowgirl position? Because just like cowgirls, the high thrust is knocking down gender biases by indiscriminately stabbing everything in the crotch. You can press either the mid thrust or the high thrust buttons 3 times to do 3 successive thrusting attacks. This is the beginning of the dance of the lance. So before we dive further into the dance steps, let's talk about guarding, as it is a pivotal piece of the dance itself. Now, most people, when they see the lance, they see a giant slab of metal sitting on the hunter's back. But me? I see the same giant hunk of metal sitting on their back. I mean, look at them. They're like a bunch of disembodied unicorn skulls with feet. It's kind of fucking creepy. But after the lance, I see the shield. And when I see the shield, I see protection. Which is why when I'm thrusting with my lance, I always dress up as a Trojan.
Phrasing.
Now that I've got that cringy AF joke out of the way, remember to like and subscribe. I've got the mediocre comedy factory that is my brain cranking 24/7, so I can make guarantees like subscribe, and maybe you'll laugh. Wow, what a deal. Also, there's a Discord. Make sure to join that shit, cause you can hunt with me and Billy. By pressing this button, you'll begin your guard animation. When guarding, you will block all incoming frontal attacks. And little known fact, if you hold your controller upside down and press the guard button, you'll still only be blocking incoming frontal damage, but you'll be holding your controller upside down. Now, if we press this button and this button at the same time, then follow it up quickly with this button, you will enter the docking station for Penetration Station. While in Penetration Station, you can basically block everything. While you sit there wallowing in your own musty filth, your stamina bar will slowly drain. If a monster hits you, then you have the opportunity to press this button and release the almighty thrust, where you channel all your tribal phallic energy into the tip
Phrasing.
of your spear and thrust it directly into the esophagus of the opposing reptile. However, if you run out of stamina, if you press this button and this button at the same time, you will perform a light counter. This can block most normal attacks and resets your thrusting attack chain. With the ability to reset your attack chain, you've now unlocked every component of the rhythm game. Every 3 lance pokes, you can use the light counter ability to reset your combo, and then do another 3 lance pokes, and then do the light counter ability to reset your combo, and then do another 3 lance pokes, and then do another light counter ability to reset your combo. To help Billy prepare for his lance journey, I bought a metronome, because today we're going to learn how to dance. And by dance, I mean learn the fundamental reset counter of the lance. Now, Billy, what did I tell you I would do if you got out of rhythm? That you were gonna fucking shoot me? That's right. A healthy dose of fear helps strengthen the body, so go ahead and get started. 1, 2... Oh no! Oh no! If you press these two buttons at the same time, you will execute the charged sweep attack. This is an attack where you will charge your lance for 2 stages and then slap the shit out of your opponent with the shaft of your spear. Some people may think that this seems a little out of theme for the lance, and I'm here to tell you that not only is it out of theme, but it's also a petty attempt to steal the glory that is my greatsword's charging ability.
But nobody could ever touch the power of my precious greatsword.
A little known fact, if you place your phone near your monitor while you're doing the charge slap, it'll actually help refill your phone battery slightly. Pretty neat. The final core piece of the Lance's kit is in how this button is modified while the weapon is drawn. Most weapons will do some kind of roll when you hit this button. Lance? No. They execute a tiny, ineffective hop. This is not a super effective way to move around, but it does also reset your poke combo. I don't have a joke for this ability. The joke is using it in the first place. Well, that's all I've got for the basics. Billy, do you have anything else to add? I agree. I think it is time that we hop into the switch skills. Like every weapon in Rise Break, the Lance got access to selectable weapon abilities called switch skills. Some of these skills consume wire bugs, and when executed do a cool flashy move. This first skill, this is not one of those cool flashy skills, but it is probably more important than any of the wire bug skills on their own, so let's talk about it. The first switch skill slot has you choose between guard and insta-block. These skills will impact the animation that happens when you press this button. Guard just has you raise your shield like we talked about in the basics. Insta-block gives you a light parry before eventually ending up in the block animation. If you get hit during the parry window, you will parry the attack and open up the powerful cross slash, where you strike the monster twice using just the tip of your spear.
Phrasing?
The next switch skill has you choose between dash attack and shield charge. These moves are accessed whenever you press these buttons at the same time. Dash attack has you place the lance in front of you and start charging the monster with reckless abandon so long as you have the stamina to keep running. I mean, look at Billy run before I shot him in the legs. Look at Billy run before I shot him in the legs. If you press this button during the charge animation, you will perform one giant potent thrust.
Phrasing.
Who keeps saying that? Contrast that with the shield charge, which is activated with the same button inputs as shield dash. Once activated, you'll begin charging recklessly forward, but this time it's for a set amount of time. You'll still have the ability to do the giant thrust by pressing this button, but also you have the ability to slap the shit out of a monster's face with this button. Now we get to talk about the most exciting ability, which is still not a wire bug ability. Just prepping you, there's exactly one cool looking wire bug ability, so we might as well just come to terms with that now. The guard dash is activated by pressing a combination of your guard button and this button, at which point you will leap forward and have the option to press either this button or this button to either stab the monster in the face or smack the monster with your shield. If you choose to stab the monster in the face, you'll get... Wait, is that 3 delayed hits? 3 delayed slashes? This means that this weapon is anime! Then you have the shield tackle, which places your shield in front of you and violently shoves it up the monster's nose, building up KO damage. The guard dash also serves as a poke combo reset, so you can go from a shield tackle directly into your missionary thrust or your cowgirl thrust. Now I know what you're thinking. Man, I really wish someone would punch me in the nose after jabbing me with their long metallic shaft. You know what, buddy? Same. Moving on, now that we've talked about the most exciting moves for the Lance, we can prepare to spiral down the mountain relying only on my capacity to tell jokes as entertainment. And since my sense of humor is trash, that means we should all put on our seatbelts as we prepare to head straight into the dumpster. Our first wire bug skill has you choose between 3 moves. You have Anchor Rage, Spiral Thrust, and Skyward Thrust. These moves are activated by pressing these 2 buttons at the same time. Anchor Rage allows you to soak pretty much any attack for a brief period of time. When you soak an attack, you will channel all your energy from the chakra point in your perineum and unleash a devastating attack that I like to call the Tainted Touch. You may have noticed that just the tip of the spear is glowing.
Phrasing.
Fuck you! This is a passive damage bonus that you get. Now your pokes have the ability to do slightly more damage. Now we did forget to get Billy's footage for this, because usually he'd demo this for us, but he's slightly occupied at the moment. So I'll be demonstrating a perfect timing of Anchor Rage now on this Teostra. Competing for this spot is Spiral Thrust. Spiral Thrust is the only cool looking ability in the entire Lance repertoire. This ability has you do a quick parry, which will block an attack and then shoot a wire bug out as you do a rapidly accelerating spear thrust into whatever animal body part is closest to you. After the first thrust hits, if you push your left analog stick into another direction, you will do a second thrust, which Billy is demonstrating now on the screen. The final ability is the Skyward Thrust. The Skyward Thrust is actually one of the highest damaging abilities in the Lance movesets, as long as you hit the majority of the attacks in the animation. So if you ever find yourself fighting a cardboard cylinder, the Eiffel Tower, or a quadratic equation, you can rest assured that Capcom has given you the tools to mess up your prey's insides.
Phrase.
God damn! I have to hand it to Capcom though. Look how high up these crazy Lance players are getting. Now we are on to switch skills that are activated by pressing this button and this button, those being Twin Vines and Sheathing Retreat. Twin Vines has you pull out your prison shiv and for one wire bug, shank a monster in the ribs. You can then press this button and this button to soar through the air, be completely vulnerable to an attack, and gingerly land next to the monster. It's supposed to be used for chasing down the target. I never use this ability. Probably a skill issue. The final ability is Sheathing Retreat, where you spin a wire bug and put your weapon away quickly while dashing backwards. Could you just use a wire bug to counter the dangerous attack using Anchor Rage? Could you just spiral thrust and do some big damage while running away? Sure. But you would rather be completely ineffective and spin a wire bug to run away, put up your weapon, and remove your ability to defend yourself. Honestly, the monster will never see this coming though, because I don't use this ability. Now that we've gone through the basics and the switch skills, it's time to show you the different paths that you could take when playing this weapon. Keeping in line with our lightly treaded dance theme, the paths are the path of the ballerina, the path of the Cossack, and the path of the guy who has never been to a mosh pit and then gets uncomfortable when people are bumping into him too hard, so he starts punching people in the face. It's a mouthful, I know. Shut up, Billy. The path of the ballerina focuses on using the guard dash ability over and over and over again to kill the monster via delayed slashes. Why is it called the path of the ballerina? Because look at how you leap forward. You're graceful, like the ballerina. And if we just change the track here. If you combine this thrust combo with the charge slap attack, you have one of the highest damaging combos for the weapon. Also, by running Anchor Rage, you get the opportunity to increase your damage passively and unleash an unrelenting assault of pokes directly into the monster's face. Path of the Cossack focuses on using Spiral Thrust over and over and over again. And you may be wondering, Ahmad, what the heck is a Cossack? I'm glad you asked. The Cossack is a type of traditional Ukrainian dance where the dancer will get in a seated squat position on one leg, and they will then point their other leg out parallel to the ground. You can see why it's applicable because if I just draw a little line here, and we get the point, and boom. That's right, the Cossack dance creates a spear. Your minds are blown. I have eloquently combined the theme of dance and Lance, making me a comedy genius. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, there's Spiral Thrust. So you basically just use this one wire bug skill on cooldown to do big number over and over. While Spiral Thrust is on cooldown, you get to do my second favorite activity while playing this weapon. Having a dopamine crash and wondering where it all went wrong. This brings us to the final gameplay style. Path of the guy who has never been to a mosh pit and then gets uncomfortable with people bumping into him too hard, so he starts punching people in the face. Or Patgawahanabatam Patgauwapaha Ihitihipspitfa for short. This loadout focus God damn it. This loadout focuses on using shield tackle to rapidly build up KO so that you can get big windows to walk down to the monster's butt miss hitting the tail with your charged sweep attack, and meeting every expectation anyone has ever had of you. Which is to say, unlike me, you are a Fuck! So which rhythm-fueled poking action is best? Honestly, I think they all have fun aspects to them. Playing the Path of the Ballerina feels like a relentless assault and also feels like it has some great gameplay alternatives to the traditional poke, 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 reset, while not losing the core concept of staying within a rhythm for the weapon. Path of the Mosh Pit brings some great utility in the ability to knock a monster the fuck out and still keep the gameplay loop of poke, 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 reset. And Path of the Cossack, that just looks cool. That's all I got. There are probably some playstyles that make better use of skyward thrust, but this should be enough to get you started. Regardless of which one is the most optimal, people can do hunts quickly with each of these playstyles, so mess around with them all until you find something you like. With that being said, let's go grab our metronomes, our Halloween costumes, and our 15-year-old sense of humor to go gently penetrate a brute wyvern with the tip of our spear. Phrasing. Now that I've watched the beginner guide to the lance, I have mastered the dance of death. Nobody can stop me. That's right, peasants. Run away. You'll never be able to escape. Poke, 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 reset. Wait. Who are you? No. They didn't say anything about you.
挽回